Alright, it is time for day 2 of the Torgue Mod. So, day 1 went really well. I am just constantly spamming nukes at people. This is exactly what I would expect. Everything is going pretty well. I don't know if we'll make it through normal mode today, but we'll certainly try to make a lot of progress. We'll probably hit at least level 20 plus, so we'll be able to breach down to this row on the skill tree today. And we'll just kind of get to see what these things feel like. So yeah, let's get started. I will say this is a really weird thing and I don't know exactly why it does it, but whenever the action skill timer is going, Torgue doesn't double hand a weapon. He will only have one hand on it. I don't know if this is because it's somehow coded in a similar way to maybe like Sal, but it does feel kind of odd that he chooses to one hand while sprinting during that timer. Now, also as another note, because it was recommended by the mod author a little bit, I will go ahead and turn on an enemy spawn multiplier. They said ×4. I think maybe like ×5 or ×6 ought to be fine. We'll set the spawn limit to unlimited so that there can be an unlimited amount of enemies on the map at a time. This will keep it from bottlenecking and having mobs spawn in one area but not another, because there are simply too many in that first area. So this should be a great choice. Surely this will go well and I won't just get spammed out. This does also mean that any boss we fight is going to be multiplied by 6, so hopefully our damage is up to par for that. They do also recommend a difficulty mod, but I'm not going to do that initially. We'll see if I feel like we need to, but I think just playing like this should be okay. Alright, so we have a lot of buggy friends here. This is very good. It'll make the objective a lot easier to do. I did also grab Mutated Varkid quest, so we should be able to farm out Mutated Varkids really easily, considering the amount of mobs that are out here. So I'll just kind of just do that. Maybe do it again. Incredible. This is going to be a terrible idea, but I'm just kind of just running around mutating every single Varkid. I might die, but I'm so willing to do that so that I can respawn and actually go ahead and just kind of send it. Just kind of see what happens here. Yeah, this is fine. Everything's going well. Also, another level. Haven't really looked too hard at this row here. I'm thinking that a couple of these skills might be 1 point. I'm not really sure. This one's definitely probably more. Maybe it's only 1. I don't really know. This one definitely is only that. And then, of course, Torgue personnel included says that it increases with every skill point spent. So that's probably a 5 out of 5. So we'll just kind of see on that. Alright, we have hit level 16 here, so let's go ahead and look. We have 2 1-point skills and a 5 out of 5 skill. So for the 1-point skills, taking damage from an enemy adds a stack of what doesn't kill you, and for each stack we get extra nuke damage. Stacks do begin to decay after 2 seconds, after not taking damage, so we can get up to 50% more damage on our nukes. This one, this skill activates every 15 seconds for 15 seconds if you deal enough damage during an instance of this skill being active. You spawn a homing nuke. There's a 7-second minimum delay between spawning homing nukes. Okay, so this, paired with our action skill, should at least guarantee that it triggers it. So we throw out a nuke, it spawns another nuke. If we wait long enough during our action skill, we could throw out our second nuke and then spawn an additional homing nuke. So that seems pretty cool. I will of course put a point into this skill as well, because that's up to 50% more damage for a single point. And then from there we will get Torgue personnel included up to level 3, just to work down the skill tree. And also because it gives us a pet that can also revive you. So that seems really strong. So I'm going to do that. Alright, well, figured out what that homing nuke does. That was interesting. Also, not very hard to set off. Only needed my Nova Shield to go off to trigger it. Okay, cool. So, yeah, that's not actually a very high threshold to trigger. Good. I do really like the idea of having a passive skill that as you are dealing damage, you occasionally get an extra big slap of damage on top of it. So I do really like the way that that skill works. I think that's pretty neat. Alright, level 17, go ahead and put a point into this for the damage, and then, yeah, still after that, gonna spec the other skill. Okay, I might have to turn down the spawn density a little bit, just for the game to be able to tolerate this. It's not my computer's fault, which is funny, it's actually just the fact that Borderlands engine cannot process all of this nonsense. So, I will have to tune this down probably to the 4x that they recommended. We'll see if that runs fine, it probably will. It's mainly just the fact that there are so many mobs that are able to spawn here, I think, is the main issue. Whereas in most areas you wouldn't really have this problem. And then also from here, we're going to go ahead and get Torgue personnel included. This will apparently summon a little buddy, so we get to go ahead and do that and see where our little buddy is. Look at our dude! Yo! Get him! There was a chubby. He no longer is with us. What if I throw my second turret? It teleports him to me. Incredible. That's so good. Look at this guy. Now I will say our action skill did end, but he is still with us. So that is pretty cool. Kinda glad he's still here. He switched guns whenever I re-teleported him. I think it just spawns a new one, gets rid of the old one. So rest in peace to that Torgue assault rifle he had. He has a bandit one now. It is what it is. I just think it's neat. And other similar activities, you know, normal stuff, really. Alright, we might have to turn down the spawn multiplier to like 2. So as to still be able to use the enemy spawn multiplier but not to fry my video game, I'm gonna set a limit on the amount of mobs that can spawn in a map. This will still be able to spawn a lot of mobs. It will just have a more vanilla restriction to it. So we will have dense areas, and then we will have not as much of a problem, hopefully. The only problem that could come from this is just the fact that if too many mobs spawn in one area, mobs might not even spawn at all for the entire rest of the map, which will only really be an issue on certain maps whenever I'm trying to do like Heroes Pass or maybe Sawtooth, something like that. So we will just have to keep that in mind and maybe work with it. Okay. Our boy is alive. Maybe he was just stuck. Look at him go. Our friend. He's got that knockback. He's good. Yeah, okay. So maybe he just gets a little stuck sometimes. A little confused is all. Yeah, he's doing great. He's playing the video game. He's kind of doing a lot of damage, too. Well, whenever he hits his shots, anyway. Oh, right, I forgot. Okay, hold on. How much damage? Not actually as much as I was expecting, and he's almost dead. Okay, cool. There we go. Wilhelm's defeated. That was very scary. I almost got jumped by a flock of Wilhelms. How you doing, buddy? You good over there? He's okay. My man just witnessed a war crime and he's just contemplating. That's so good. I love that. Now, I am noticing that I traveled while having a couple stacks of that damage taking skill that increases our nuke damage, and they are not deteriorating anymore. So I'm really curious about if that's a way to bug it to stay at max stacks at all times, is to just take a bunch of damage near a doorway and then travel through while you still have the stacks. Of course, they probably will go away after you start retaking damage. It'll probably correct itself. But, like, temporarily, could be a good option for walking into a raid boss like Terra, who has those mobs right outside that doorway, especially ones that don't really deal so much damage. So that could be a strat, I guess. This is great. I love this. Why have we never had a mod that, like... Okay, but, like, hear me out. We could legitimately have a Necromancer gauge if this works how I think it works. because he spawned, right? So theoretically, we could replace death trap spawns with like skeletal spawns, and then we could just have that be a thing somehow. Which, like, obviously I don't know how to code that, so I don't actually know how much I'm asking for. But this just gives me necromancer type of energy here with the summons. Get him. Kill him. Yeah. Okay, so interesting note here. We do have two skills that both say they spawn a Torgue employee. So I don't know if this directly correlates to the same character. I believe it probably spawns two separate mobs to help us fight. But we can also see here from our friend class mod that this buffs one of the employees. So this means that the friend class mod is in fact our add spam class mod. If we do decide to go that way and just have a bunch of buddies kill stuff for us, we could potentially have a summon build later in the game, which would be really odd considering this is Borderlands 2, it's not like Diablo or something. But we could potentially run basically a Skellymancer type of thing in this game, which would be really, really funny, because that should not be a thing at all. Oh, that's more... Oh, dude. Oh. Okay, when an enemy hits you, you release fireworks that damage enemies near you. This doesn't say it has a cooldown on it, and also heals a % of your health, by the way. Yeah, no, this character is definitely for fun. I can say that. It is visual pollution, the character, but it is funny, so it's okay. Alright, Gluttonous Thresher has survived more pellets than I expected him to. Good job on him. And he's back, because Multiplier. He does appear to get confused sometimes. Like, sometimes he'll spawn, and he'll be super helpful, and then other times he's just kind of there as a distraction for the enemy. Yeah, he's not too smart. It's okay, though, he's coming to save me. Save me, Muscle Man. No, Muscle Man! Oh wait, it's still saving me. Okay, cool. So, yeah, his revive function works, that's good. Alright, so we are nearly done with Overlooked here, and I would just like to point out we are pretty much where I would be at the end of a Clan Wars farm, which is largely, in fact, due to the spawn rates, the extra spawn multiplier that we have on. So I don't have to go do Clan Wars. I could imagine you probably still might have to if you didn't have on spawn multiplier, but that's not a problem. I mean, that's just normal game progression. But just a note for how I'm going to go through the game is I'm not really going to stop for Clan Wars, which I would normally do. You know, I know that there's a skill that increases the action skill timer, but I kind of wish there was one that would shorten it, so that I could start my cooldowns faster. Although I guess I could just get rocket launcher kills, and then get my cooldown back mid-timer, just that way. Which is a good inclination, or a good reason to spec into left tree. It'd be a very good reason to spec down to it. And it's not even too far, it's right there. What? Instantly auto-reloads ammo for Torgue guns. Removes the ability to sprint, but massively increases movement speed. Okay, I didn't read that. Okay. Okay, so I know I was talking about going down right tree, and I still definitely will, but I think we're going to go at least a halfway down left tree, because we can get some action skill cooldown right here, a lot of it, but also mainly because we have the ability to become a Quake character. We lose the ability to sprint, but we move 100% faster. We get way more bullet velocity, we get melee knockback, we get gun damage, and we also auto-reload Torgue guns. Now, of course, the guns cost more to shoot, but that really won't matter. And also, we can pair it with killing an enemy with your action skill, now causes ammo crates to drop. So, yeah, I'm gonna, as soon as I'm done with middle tree, we're going left tree, just to at least grab these two. Alright, we are level 21 in this area. I'm gonna go ahead and put a point into Raw Flame Livewire. This, whenever we get hit, releases a firework that damages nearby enemies. Damage dealt by fireworks heal a percentage of your health. So with this, I should be able to get a little bit more friendly. Maybe not too friendly, maybe not too creative here, but, you know, more friendly with the mobs. Get a little more up close, just start blowing people up even harder than we already were. I don't know if there's a cooldown on the firework. There probably is, or else it would kind of just be insane. But that might be a thing. Either way, it's going to be fun. Ooh. Okay, so I've just had an interesting thought. Let's say hypothetically you were in DigiPeak, and you were fighting Dukino's mom. Whenever she takes big steps, and it causes the screen to shake, technically that counts as taking damage, without actually, like, reducing your health. So, you could theoretically get some health back, just by walking the dog a little bit, and your fireworks just kind of like dealing a little bit of tick damage. So that could be an interesting concept. You could try to use it for that. I mean, passively it will happen probably, because that skill is just really nice. I don't see why you wouldn't spec it anyway. But it's just a nice little interaction there. Any mobs like that that shake your screen and cause damage. Testing out the firework damage here a little bit. It seems to do pretty well. Not incredible damage, but it is mainly a healing support tool. It does give us a nice little layer of visual pollution, which is fun. Normally, of course, visual pollution would not be considered a great thing to me, but since we're literally just kind of trolling right now, it's great. I'm having a great time with it. We have our first cooldown relic. It's only 10%, but my goodness, it will help so much. The cooldown naturally is 50. We've got a little bit of cooldown we'll work on here. We've got some here from the comm, here from the relic, and then of course we will get this cooldown here. So we should be able to spam way harder eventually. One thing that could potentially happen in the future is that this guy will be 10 levels over the opposing mobs he is going against. Of course, he is a little bit thick because he is a muscly boy, but he feels fine right now. I'll have to wait and see if he feels stronger later, though, for sure. Oh, interesting. We have many a Bloodwing. That could cause some problems, especially since they aren't actually part of the fight properly yet. So, we might, this might cause some problems. Don't know. Okay. Alright. And she was too far away for the second nuke. That's fair. He does appear to be distracted by muscles, which is really nice for us. Also, he spawned with a Torgue assault rifle, which will deal a little bit more damage, as they tend to do for some reason. So that is pretty nice. Yeah, he is our tank. He is doing a great job too. Okay, there we go. Blowing up dudes. No problem. Yeah. You know, I mean, like, obviously we are definitely overpowered, but it is very much still an enjoyable OP. It's not just, like, insanely strong, just, like, one-tapping everybody, getting rid of them all. Because outside of our nukes, we do actually still kind of have to play the game a little bit. But whenever the nukes come out, I mean, of course, we're just gonna, like, delete guys, because that's kind of the point. But yeah, they're on like a 50-second cooldown. Of course, benefiting that cooldown will make that not as much of a problem. But there's actual, like, in-between time where you actually have to play the game. Oh, can you imagine UVHM Control Core? We're gonna have Roland, Lilith, and then at least 2 to 3 more summons in there with us, helping us out. That's gonna be so cool. I'm gonna really like that. That's a lot of Jack clones. That was a lot of Jack clones. Yeah, this is more proof that the character's camera is higher than the hitbox on the character. As you can see, I can just stick my head through here a little bit. And it's kind of fair, because if Torgue were any taller, I think you would actually get stuck in a lot of spots, especially in spots where you're supposed to be able to crouch through. So it makes sense that the camera is just above him instead. But it's just a little odd. My god, this is so beautiful. This is so dumb, but it's so good. Now imagine if I had the Quake movement speed skill too. That's what TVHM is gonna feel like. Okay. Well, level up. Feels pretty good. Okay, so looking at our next tier of our skill tree, we do have EMP here, which adds additional shock damage onto our nuke, which means that it will deal the amount of damage it already deals, and then it will also deal an additional 20 up to 60% of just shock damage by itself there. So speccing the skill is a really good idea. It is a 3 out of 3, so I can spec this and then also spec these two. I'm not really sure what this skill does still yet, but that's the thing we can do. And then from there, we can, of course, try to get the capstone, which I am still really curious about. I could probably afford to go back underneath. Oh, whoa, hey. Alright, so spawn multiplier and bunker. You don't care as much as I thought you would, but also not terrible. It's okay, our buddy is gonna heal us. He is here for us at all times. Now, I don't know exactly how spawn multiplier bunker works. I think if we just kill primary bunker, it might count for the objective. I'm not really sure. But that's certainly what we're gonna try to do here. Just because that seems like the most logical approach. Okay, so main bunker's health bar is bottomed out. Not really sure if this will count. Hopefully it does. Hopefully the other ones can just kind of like stay alive and it not be a problem for us. I guess we'll find out pretty darn soon here. And yes, it did count. Thank goodness. I did not want to try to figure out which one was the real one, or what would actually happen there. It's a good thought experiment, though, I will say, to be fair. Oh. Okay, this is interesting. I have ran out of video memory, which, not a thing that's supposed to happen. This is only supposed to be an issue with the UHD pack, which I certainly do not have installed. So this could be a problem with potentially running spawn multiplier as well? Not really sure, we'll figure it out though. Okay, so we are going to try to run Torgue Mod without the enemy spawn multiplier temporarily to see if that was possibly the issue here. I don't see exactly how it would relate to a textured problem like the memory usage, but it could. So we'll see if we get any more crashes this way. It could be a thing where there's a memory leak of some type in the mod where eventually after enough save quits you would have this problem. I probably just didn't experience it day one simply for the fact that I didn't enter or leave very many maps. But that could possibly be a thing. I'm not sure though. Alright, and there we go. I do have to go ahead and call it for the day. I do have some family stuff I need to go attend. Bunch of personal family stuff. It's stuff. But yeah, I need to go do that, so we will have to call it here today. This has been very nice so far. I have definitely been enjoying the mod. It is an absolute goof, I will be honest. You can totally just romp through the game and not have to worry about anything. But it's super duper nice, and I do like it. We will be back tomorrow to go ahead and plow through pretty much just Sawtooth and then like Arid, and then Heroes Pass, and then Warrior, and then we'll just move on to TVHM on the same day. So yeah, feels pretty good so far. Day 2.